Dear Minister Kyenge, above all I wonder why your English page on Wikipedia is different from the Italian page. In particular, the difference concerns a few confessions you have made during your interview broadcasted by the national television channel Rai. I knew from your interview that you arrived in Italy following the recommendation of a bishop in order to study at the Sacred Art University.
E quindi come arrivate in Italia?
Quindi attraverso il vescovo della mia città e abbiamo trovato una borsa di studio per andare a studiare all'Università Cattolica di Roma.
And once in Italy you have obtained the visa, the permission to stay, thanks to the nuns.
Attraverso loro, che sono suore laiche, mi hanno dato la possibilità di avere anche dei documenti, perché se non hai la borsa di studio.
That was broadcasted by the national television channel Rai. Could you please tell me why this interview is mentioned in your Italian Wikipedia page, but not in the English page? Furthermore, dear Minister Kyenge, the racism in Italy is at the origin of several national problems since long time. It is a serious issue, deeply rooted in the national tradition and culture. It is also part of the school programs. And that was also reported by the OECD and more officers of the United Nations. And because talking about racism only related to the skin colour is just misleading and raising more racism, I like to clear this aspect of the Italian national culture. Dear Kyenge, for a number of reasons related to the Catholic tradition of mafia, censorship and cultural inquisition, I had to emigrate in order to organise the PhD I was prevented from organising in Italy. And when the English University contacted the Verona University, I was degree. In order to have confirmation of my university curriculum, the professors in the photograph of my graduation ceremony did not confirm the documents they have issued with signature, stamps and photograph, and made me do the impression of the forger, the counterfeiter. And the same happened to the passport, with the Italian officers pretending I was cancelled from the population list. Do you understand the cost of your Catholic colleagues? They turned me into a paperless and an illegal immigrant, a counterfeiter instead of you. Do you understand? You and your fabricated documents and high moral values above the laws. Did you ever ask yourself the social costs of having such an honest representative like you? I have been tortured because of the false declarations of your Catholic colleagues, fabricating documents for you and making business of indulgences as usual. In Italy, the true degree became fake and the fake became true. And the same happened to the passport. Meanwhile, people vanish, but it is true. In Italy also, the forgers, like you, deserve the equal opportunities, isn't it? Maybe you like those favours and feel comfortable and proud of it, like you received a gift from God himself rather than the Godfather. But in the other hand, there are many honest people, Italian citizens, who have to pay a high price with their lives. Because of your deception, rich of high moral values above the law. You may feel proud of those favours. Nevertheless, many honest Italian people are unable to have the documents they have rights for. The European Community has sent legal charges to the Court of Justice in Milan concerning both my rights for travelling. I was clearly prevented for years with no passport, and concerning my right to accept the PhD opportunities I was offered. Nevertheless, the prosecutor, Corrado Cannavale, has flushed the report down the toilet in order to defend and preserve the high moral standards of honest people like you, scumbags and counterfeiters. You should be ashamed, but since you are in Italy, these are merits within your system of values. Of course you should be ashamed, but like your spiritual leader, you have no moral perception at all. And the real surprising is that, after all, a Catholic corrupted to the bones in the name of the best national mafia above the laws also pretend to represent the Ministry for Integration and maybe the equal opportunities, and maybe also pretending of having the potential to represent some sort of cultural exchange and to enrich the national culture. Shame on you! The reputation of Italy all over the planet is made by honest people like you, and you simply confirm all we already knew. Dear Minister Kyenge, in conclusion, the cultural primacy and the racial laws were not an invention of Mussolini, but find their origin in the moral primacy, which is the ideological foundation of both the cultural primacy and the racial laws. So you can see now there is a list of reasons and evidences to question your morality above the law, and the colour skin is just pointless. And just to give you an opportunity to the Ministers for the Integration and the Equal Opportunities, I will give you 3 options, and you can choose which one to answer. Why don't you put to the test your culture and intellectual honesty with a few simple questions waiting for an answer since the beginning of the Italian racist tradition? The questions are quoted from the official school books authorised by the Minister for Education, and you may find those books in use in every classroom, despite the OECD Office of the United Nations already expressed its concern for the poor quality and racist attitude of the teaching. Dear Minister Kyenge, the textbook Black and White claim that Italy is the most best example and the best representative of the Renaissance culture with Galileo, Michelangelo and many more. Nevertheless, the Renaissance culture was made of Catholic heresies, blasphemies persecuted by the Catholic Inquisition, beginning from the freedom of conscience of having a personal opinion in philosophy, cosmology, science and the arts. I wonder, how did the Catholic heresies to become Catholic legacy? How did the freedom of the conscience to become Catholic legacy? The Renaissance culture was a movement of emancipation from the Catholic tradition, was a revolution against the system of corruption, of indulgency, simony and saints above the laws, the saints of the Catholic tradition. I wonder, how did the Catholic heresies to become intellectual legacy of the most Catholic civilization of the planet? In the territory where now is Italy, at the time of the Renaissance was the Catholic Inquisition and the Counter-Reformation precisely against the heresies of the Renaissance culture, and the Renaissance was on the other side of the wall. I wonder, how did the Catholic heresies to become Catholic legacy? I repeat the question, How did the Catholic heresies to become Catholic legacy? It is possible to believe no one has ever asked such a simple question in an 80-year-old history of Italy. What should I believe? That in 80 years in Italy were born only idiots? All with no exception? Tell me, do you think it is a miracle or a Holocaust? Dear Minister Kyenge, definitely the racist issue in Italy is different from what you say. It is nothing to do with skin colour, and I will be very grateful for an answer from you and or your colleagues from the European Union like Cecilia Malmström and Rupert Colville from the United Nations. With best regards, Luca.